Snow fell relentlessly over the quiet countryside, painting the world in white silence. The road stretched endlessly through the forest, the storm turning visibility into a blur. Jack Turner, a single father with tired eyes and roughened hands, was driving home from his last delivery before Christmas. His old pickup rattled as it climbed the icy slope, headlights cutting through the falling snow. In the back seat, his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, was fast asleep beneath a blanket, clutching her worn-out teddy bear. Jack's life was a daily battle between survival and love, working multiple jobs to keep a roof over their heads after his wife's passing 2 winters ago. He'd learned to live without much, but never without hope. That's when he saw her. Through the white blur of snow, something shimmered faintly on the roadside, a figure in white. Jack squinted, slowing the truck. At first, he thought it was a ghostly trick of the storm. But as he drew closer, his breath caught in his throat. It was a woman, wearing a wedding dress, sitting helplessly in a wheelchair, her makeup streaked with tears, her lips trembling from the cold. Her veil was tangled in the snow, her bouquet half buried beside her. The sight hit him like a punch. A bride. Alone. In the middle of nowhere, Jack slammed the brakes and jumped out into the freezing wind. The cold bit through his flannel jacket, but he didn't care. The woman looked up at him, her eyes wide with a kind of pain that words couldn't describe. Her voice cracked when she tried to speak, her body shaking uncontrollably. He didn't ask who she was or how she got there. He simply lifted her carefully into his arms, her wedding dress stiff with frost, and carried her into his truck. Lily stirred awake, whispering in awe, "Daddy, is she an angel?" Jack didn't answer. But deep inside, he knew. She was someone heaven had sent his way for a reason. Speech balloon. If you believe in kindness, humanity, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let's spread love through stories that remind us the world still has good people. The woman barely spoke as Jack drove through the storm. Her hands were numb, her lips blue, and yet, in the reflection of the window, her eyes glimmered with something fragile, heartbreak. When they finally reached Jack's small cabin in the woods, he carried her inside, setting her near the fireplace. His home was modest, a wooden cabin built by his grandfather, with creaky floors and walls that smelled faintly of pine and smoke. But to her, it must have felt like warmth itself. Jack wrapped her in blankets while Lily brought a cup of warm milk, her small hands trembling with excitement. The woman tried to smile, whispering a soft, "Thank you." Jack asked if she needed to call someone, but she only shook her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. She said her name was Clara, and that was all. Over the next few hours, Jack learned only fragments of her story. She had been left at the altar, not by accident, but by choice. Her groom had taken one look at her in her wheelchair and decided he couldn't go through with it. Her family was powerful, her wedding extravagant, but in the end, all that wealth couldn't stop one man from breaking her heart. So she'd fled, driven away aimlessly until her car broke down in the storm. Jack didn't know what to say. What comfort could he offer a woman whose heart had just been shattered? Instead, he showed kindness the only way he knew, by caring for her without asking anything in return. He fixed her a warm meal, lent her one of his late wife's blankets, and let her rest in the quiet safety of his home. The days that followed were slow and tender. The storm worsened, cutting off the only road out of town, forcing Clara to stay longer. During that time, she grew close to Lily, reading her bedtime stories, teaching her to bake cookies, and laughing for the first time in what felt like forever. Jack watched from the sidelines, quietly mesmerized by how this elegant, wounded woman brought laughter back into his home, something he hadn't heard since his wife's death. But Clara wasn't just healing. She was rediscovering herself. Away from the flashing cameras, the fortune, and the pitying stares, she felt human again. Jack treated her like a person, not a patient, not a burden, just someone worth saving. Still, deep inside, Jack battled guilt. He couldn't stop thinking about his late wife, about whether letting someone new in meant betraying her memory. But every time Clara smiled at Lily, something in him softened. Her presence didn't erase the past. It reminded him that love, in its truest form, could be reborn from pain. One evening, as snowflakes drifted like slow-motion stars outside the window, Clara looked at Jack and said, "You saved me, Jack. Not from the storm, but from myself." He didn't realize how deeply those words would change him. When the weather finally cleared, Clara insisted on leaving. Jack helped her into the truck, his chest heavy. He didn't ask where she was going. He simply wished her well and drove her into town. She thanked him with a trembling smile, her eyes glistening with something unspoken. Before stepping out, she pressed a small folded paper into his hand. "For everything," she whispered, and was gone. Jack didn't open it until he got home. Inside was a simple note and a phone number. Beneath it, just one line. "Sometimes, those who lose everything are the ones who have the most to give." He didn't know that the woman he had saved was not just a runaway bride, but one of the country's most influential businesswomen. Clara Ellington, heiress to the Ellington Group, a billion-dollar enterprise. She had hidden her identity from him because she wanted to be seen not as a billionaire, but as a woman who still had a heart. Months passed. Jack's life returned to its quiet rhythm, chopping wood, raising Lily, and fighting to keep his small business alive. But one afternoon, everything changed. A convoy of luxury cars appeared on the mountain road, stopping right in front of his cabin. Jack stood frozen as Clara stepped out, radiant, confident, and smiling brighter than the winter sun. She looked at him, her eyes shimmering. "You once saved me when I was lost," she said. "Now it's my turn to help you find yourself again." He tried to protest, but she stopped him. Behind her, a team of builders and surveyors began unloading blueprints. She explained that she'd bought the surrounding land to build a new rehabilitation and wellness center, one that would employ locals, create opportunities, and provide therapy for those in need. She wanted Jack to help manage it, because she trusted no one more. That he was speechless. Clara wasn't just giving him a job. She was giving him purpose, hope, and a future for Lily. Over time, what started as gratitude became love, slow, quiet, and real. They worked side by side, their bond deepening through shared dreams and small acts of kindness. Lily adored Clara, calling her mom before anyone dared to speak the word aloud. And one evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, Jack found himself kneeling beside Clara, not with grand gestures, but with simple sincerity. He told her that she had changed his life more than she could ever know. She smiled, tears glimmering in her eyes, and replied softly, "No, Jack, you changed mine first." If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and share it. Every small act of engagement helps spread the message that kindness and love can heal even the deepest wounds. Envelope with arrow special request. Tell us in the comments. Do you believe one act of kindness can change two lives forever? As snow began to fall once more, Jack held Clara's hand, looking at the woman fate had placed in his path. He had saved a bride in the storm, but in truth, it was she who saved him, reminding him that love doesn't arrive in grand gestures, but in the quiet warmth of two broken hearts choosing to heal together. Because sometimes, the people we rescue end up rescuing us right back.